And it's all yours.
And off we go. So, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to see you here. Anybody agree that the United States of America could use some leadership right now?
Yes.
Okay, so whatever your affiliation is, but it seems like the world is always in need of leadership. And so as we look to others for leadership, we need to look to ourselves for leadership. One of the lessons that I've learned more recently is that personal growth is really where it's at. And although I've grown quite a bit over the years, as you can tell, Zig Ziglar said I intentionally gained 30 pounds because I never accidentally ate anything in my life. So
I love that.
Words are important. Words are really, really important. The words that we say to others, especially if they have a personal connection with us, can be important, but the words that you say to yourself are really going to tell the tale of what happens in your life. And I'd like to tell you a little story about 4 words that when they were spoken to me in 1987, they almost destroyed my life. And yet when I speak these same 4 words to myself every day as part of my daily devotional, same words, same order, exactly the same, I'm totally uplifted. Would you like to hear about it? Well, picture me in 1978. I'm tall, I'm tan, I'm young, I'm lovely. It was just a few years before I met Sandra. And I got a beard, I got bushy hair, and I've just come off 3 years of driving a laundry truck so that I could be a community theater actor in Houston. But I knew it was time to grow up, so I enrolled in school. And on my way home from U of H one day, I stopped at Steak and Ale, and out of the bar stepped the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life. I mean, raven hair, emerald green eyes, and the connection was immediate because she looked at me like something she'd wipe off her shoe. Needless to say, I got the job, and I'm called a garnish man in the kitchen, and that's really fancy for somebody who put the baked potatoes on the plates. That's what I did. So after about 30 days of doing that, my boss sat me down and said, "Do you like work in the kitchen?" I said, "Kitchen's fine." He said, "I think I can do better for you." I said, "What is it?" He said, "I want you to be a waiter." So I go through the class, I become a waiter, and I'm waiting tables for 6 weeks, and I'm doing well. He sits me down again. He says, "How do you like waiting tables?" And I said, "Well, it's great. I'm having fun. I'm making money." He said, "I got the perfect job for you." I said, "What?" He said, "I want you to be a bartender." I'm like, "Giddy up. Let's do this. This is like a lifelong dream, being a cowboy, fireman, or bartender." So I step into the bar, and who's standing there? The prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life. I'm telling you. Fast forward 2 years, we're married. 5 years after that, our son is born, and a year after that, I'm a general manager of a low-volume Bennigan's in town, right here in the Woodlands, which is now an AT&T store off Rayford Sawdust. But I'm working 90 to 110 hours a week. I'm not having any fun. I had an ability and an aptitude for restaurant management, but I had no passion for it. So I was killing myself, and I was feeling sorry for myself. I mean, I'm using pity as a verb in my life. So I sit down with my greatest advisor, the raven hair, the green eyes. I said, "Honey, I can't do this anymore. It's killing me. I can't keep up this pace. We're not making any money. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I'm unhappy." And she takes my face in her hands and looks at me with those incredible green eyes and said, "Are you stupid? I mean, really, we have a 2-year-old son with chronic ear infections. We need the money. You need the job. You can't quit. Suck it up, Buttercup." Well, that's not what I wanted to hear. I'm the kid. You can't talk to me like that. So I did what any egomaniacal bonehead would do. I stopped talking to her. And it got a little tense for a few months. And about 4 months into this silent treatment, all of a sudden this big pile of money drops right in our lap. And I know what I'm going to do. Now we got some money. I can quit my job. She's going, "Please don't quit. Please don't quit." I said, "Honey, I'm quitting the end of November. I'll take December off. I can get a job. I'm the kid." Well, that went over like a turd in a punch bowl. And I can tell you that 2 weeks to that, with me laying around playing golf and watching TV, she's at Steak and Ale. And if you remember Steak and Ale, especially Christmas time, a lot of big parties. She's working double shifts trying to make up for the money that Bonehead is not making, right? Comes home in the middle of the night, halfway through the month, wakes me up, says, "Did you go on that interview with TGI Fridays today?" And I said, "I sure did." And she said, "Well, what happened?" I said, "They offered me a job. And here's the money, and here's where I'll train, and here's where I'll work." And she said, "What did you tell him?" I said, "I told him I needed to talk to you." And she's like, "What are you talking about? Why would you need to talk to me? Can you call him tomorrow? We need this job." I said, "Honey, I'm playing with them. They want me today, they want me tomorrow, they want me next week, next month, next year. I'm the kid." Well, then her eyes filled with tears. She started crying. And she said 4 words to me that cut my legs out from under me. She said, "I can do better." What? Better than me? You gotta be kidding me. Reality set in pretty quick because 2 weeks later I'm moving out. 3 months after that I'm standing in front of a divorce judge. And he's looking at both of us, going back and forth. He says, I've been doing this a long time. I don't think either one of you wants this. Are you sure? And we looked at each other, and we were so stubborn and prideful that we couldn't give it up. So we got divorced. Cried all the way home. 5 months later, we're talking on the phone, and she blurts out, I think we made a mistake. I want to get back together. And I'm telling you, I could have beat Usain Bolt to get back to that girl. It made a big difference to us. I needed to be with her. It was God's plan. That He's the one who put her in my life. I needed to trust Him. So needless to say, last April, and I couldn't tell you the exact date because we go retro, we celebrated 26 years of being remarried. But last week, or a week before last, we celebrated September 15th, and we got retro to 1980. We've been married 36 years. We've never been more in love. We've never worked harder at our marriage. And all I'm telling you this for is that I had an opportunity to grow, and although I forced myself through it, and I would never recommend anybody go through a divorce to satisfy your marital needs, it sure worked for us. Now there are two ways to grow, right? You can grow by inspiration or by desperation. I had to grow by desperation there, but I want to talk to you today about growing a little bit by inspiration, which means it comes from you, which everything comes from you. Does anybody know about John Maxwell? Okay. John Maxwell is considered the guru of leadership, training, and management on the planet by every reliable source. He's written 102 books over the last 40 years. And if you haven't read any of John Maxwell's books, it doesn't matter which one you pick up and read or what page you open it up to, you'll find something that you can use today in your life that will help you. So I recently went through the certification program. I signed up in April. I went through, I wouldn't call it grueling because I did it on purpose and I really enjoyed doing it, but I had to answer a lot of questions about myself. I had to prepare myself, and that little speech I just gave you is what certified me, the speech about my life. So it's important to me. I'm internalizing. But I can tell you that I'm not an expert. I'm never the smartest guy in the room. What I am is committed to personal growth more than I ever have been in the past. And I've done a lot of things. I've had more jobs than a temp agency, but I've also found success. And I've had successful relationships with people over the last 45 years that I've been working. Only now at the age of 62, I guess I'm trying to grow up. And I'm trying to grow out, and I'm trying to grow inward. So it's really made a big difference in my life. This is a bucket list deal for me. So you're here in the maiden voyage. This is really my first presentation for John Maxwell. I hope I do well, but I need to hear from you how I did, and hopefully, because I'm only going to go over 2 chapters today, hopefully you'll find value, and then we can go through the book over time. Would that be something you think about? Awesome. All right. Well, in any growth pattern, there are always gaps, right? Always gaps. So the reason I don't have a PowerPoint is because I want to engage. I want us to talk to each other. You can look at a PowerPoint, you can fill out a form, and I can send you all kinds of material about what I'll talk about today. If you want, I'd be happy to do that. But I kind of like to go over, and I use John's notes and my notes, so if I look down, it's here. It's not because I'm not familiar with the material. I just want to get it right. It's really important. So the first gap would be the assumption gap. Everybody know who Bruce Springsteen is? Well, he said there comes a time in everyone's life when you stop trying to become the person you want to be, and you start becoming that person. You stop trying, and then you're there. And it's because of personal growth. As you start internalizing things that make sense to you, you see a little bit further down the road. You're not thinking about, like, well, like a teenage kid, where's my next bag of French fries coming from? Now you're the dad, and you have to figure out how to afford those French fries for your teenage kid. The knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. If you want your life to improve, and this all sounds simple, you need to improve your life. So figure out a way. I mean, what is it you truly want? Close that gap. And these gaps that I give you, I've celebrated them all in success and failure, so consider me a happy failure, but nobody is granted all of these. So as you hear them, and you can internalize them, pick out what works for you, what's going to help you in your life, and let it work for you. Try not to make it overwhelming. You can't eat the elephant but one bite at a time, right? The timing gap, it's not the right time yet. Then you decide where, how, when, how fast you want to do it, and the most important question you can ask yourself is why? Why are you doing it? Why do you want to grow? Some people don't. I'm not criticizing. I'm not judging anybody. Some people get to a plateau where they think it's not important for them to grow anymore. People retire all the time and die on the vine because they don't have anything to look forward to. They don't have anything to do. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have any plans for how they're going to live their life. Does everybody know who Arnold Palmer is? The greatest ambassador to golf that ever lived. He started in 1954. He died on Sunday. He was 86 years old, and he never stopped working. He never stopped loving people. Did you ever go to the Open when he was there, the Houston Open? Was he not the most gracious and engaging man? He would look you in the eye. He would shake your hand. He would talk to you as if you were the only person on earth. And it wouldn't matter if there were 3,000 or 4,000 of you. Dan Jenkins used to say, man, anytime I looked for Arnold, it was 5 hours after the tournament, I'm out in the parking lot because that's where he'd be looking for something else to sign. And that's the kind of guy he was. Everything he turned to absolute gold. He invented or he founded the Golf Channel. And I love this saying because as his team was looking at the guy, Joe Gibbs, who was trying to convince him to found the Golf Channel with him, they're naysaying. They're saying, it's too much, it's not the right idea, it's not going to work for you, it's not what you do, Arnold. And he looked at all of them and said, boys, if I hadn't tried to hit a few golf balls through the trees, none of us would be here today. And that's what he did. You know, he grew up as a golf pro's son. He had no membership privileges at the club that his father was the pro at. He swam in a creek. The members swam in the pool. And yet at his death, he was worth about $650 million based on relationships. He had the most famous sports relationship of all time. Do you know what IMG is? International Management Group? Well, a guy named Mark McCormick founded them in 1959 with Arnold Palmer. He was the first client of International Management Group. Now they have Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, all these big guys are part of this IMG. And he did it on a handshake, never signed a contract. Mark McCormick died about 10 years ago. Arnold Palmer, up until the day he died, was still a member of IMG based on a handshake. That's growth. That's commitment. That's finding something to do with your life that's more and bigger than you are. And that's what we're talking about today. The mistake gap. Anybody ever paralyze yourself because you're afraid to make a mistake?
Yes.
Come in, Sharon.
Hi, sorry.
That's all right. We have the standard questions for you. How much do you weigh and what's your favorite color?
I played the fifth.
Okay. All right. So if you're afraid to make mistakes, and a little while ago I said that I'm a happy failure. And I really am, because even now at my advanced age, I'm excited about trying something new and different to the extent that if it doesn't work, I know not to do it again, but I know that how I'm going to grow from it. That's the path that I'm on. You know, my wife would tell you that I'm crazy now. Not that I've always been animated. You know, I'm kind of fun and I really love my family. But now I'm having so much more fun because I'm trying to reach out across all kinds of aisles that I didn't do before, and it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. The perfection gap. Any OCD fans in the room here? Has to be just right. How many times have you heard this from a new agent or whatever it is? And I talk to new agents all the time, and I have for 25 years. And they say, no, I got to have it this way, stacked up evenly. Everything's got to be just right before I make that first prospecting call. It has to be perfect. Well, the idea is, the real fear is that the prospecting call has nothing to do with stacking papers or filling out forms or any of that other stuff. They're afraid to make that call, and these are the gaps that you want to try and bridge. And even now, there's a reason that, new agents don't make it more than 13 months. Is it at a 90% rate, Frank?
It's somewhere
Close to that. 90% of newly licensed agents don't make it 13 months. Why? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard work. You know, I spent 13 years in the restaurant business, and I hear people all the time say, I'd love to have a restaurant. My first question is always, have you ever worked in a restaurant? My second question is, have you ever managed a restaurant? So here's the breakdown. Restaurant manager, realtor, same thing, psychologist, babysitter, you know, expert on everything. You know, you don't earn your money. All you do is drive around in nice cars and have lunch, right? Isn't that the truth? What? That's not what you do? Oh, man.
We get to look at pretty houses. Too.
Oh, that's right, I forgot. There's the top end benefit that I was looking for there. All right, the inspiration gap. I don't feel like growing. Some people don't want to grow. Have you ever heard the expression of Henry Ford that said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're absolutely right. And that's the truth. You don't want to grow, don't grow. I'm growing, I'm having fun, I'm loving life, and I'm not judging anybody that decides that they don't want to grow. That's okay with me, and it should be okay with them, because it's your life, and when I stand before the Lord, believe me, I have plenty to talk about. So, the inspiration gap. What inspires you today, Sandra?
I like my job.
Yeah.
I like what I do. I'm driven.
It's obvious, and I've known you for 26 years. You haven't changed a bit.
No, I'm driven. I don't want to be sitting home wondering what I'm going to do the next day.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's being a part of everything.
Right. You're connected.
Right.
You're connected in the community. You're connected with your clients. It's exciting to have some place to go, something to do, and really be eager to get out and do it. What a testimony. Now, you've been a realtor a lot longer than I've known you.
Yes, since 1983.
Nice. You got the same story, Louise. And you're having fun. You're building a team. You're changing your brand. You're doing all kinds of wonderful things for your team right now. Doesn't it feel good?
Mm-hmm.
You look great. I hope it feels good, because it looks good on you. And I just met you, but you look delightful.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can have a meaningful conversation sometime. I'd really enjoy that. The comparison gap. Have we all heard people complain about this producer, that producer? Oh, they do it this way. They're successful, but it's accidental. They don't really, or they, all kinds of excuses for me not getting off and making the phone calls and going out and seeing people and working till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night or whatever it takes to get my real estate practice off the ground. I will just covet and be jealous and petty of their success. And so that's another gap. It prevents us from climbing over, which the easiest thing that we can realize is if we find somebody who's doing the business level that we want to do, and they're gracious enough to give us a little time and we ask some good, effective questions and apply that to our own lives, what's going to happen? We're going to have that same success. It's a lock. It's an absolute lock. It's undeniable. It has to happen, because success leaves clues, and there's always a roadmap. You've taken one road. You may have taken another one. Frank takes another one. We're all on our own path, but I'm telling you, when I feel stuck in the mud or I'm not sure what to do, I have a couple of go-tos that can get me kick-started again. And I call them up and say, all right, just help me out. I'm stuck again. I'm trying to do it on my own. What do I need to do? And they will absolutely, Ron Ledbetter. Do you know Ron Ledbetter? Yeah. One of the greatest men I know. It's one of my best friends and my chief mentor over the last 30 years. So, and I still call Ron, and he still whoops me.
What does he do?
He was the sales manager for First American Title Company for 22 years. I worked for him 3 different times in the lending business, and we were just friends for years and years. He's one of the most outstanding and amazing individuals I've ever known.
He was my manager in '94 at Occidental.
Come on, you were in junior high school in '94, Sharon. What are you talking about? All right. The expectation gap. A lot of times expectations especially are a lot higher. This is harder than I thought it would be to do that. Absolutely it is. You just spent $3,000 for a personal franchise in America that has no income limitations on it whatsoever. Did you expect it was going to be easy? I mean, honestly, when you won't call your brother, your mother, your cousin, your best friend to see if they're interested in letting you help them with their real estate needs, if you won't call those people, who are you going to call? It's going to be hard to get started. So it's always harder than you think. So John has a little formula here, and it's really, really good. Preparation, which is growth, plus attitude, plus opportunity, plus action, which is doing something, equals luck.
Can you repeat that?
I sure can. Preparation, which is growth, plus attitude, plus opportunity, plus action, which he defines as doing anything, equals luck. Now, if Rome wasn't built in a day, how long are you going to give yourself? Seriously. What's it going to take? I mean, when you first started, how did you get it started, Louise? What did you do?
I walk the streets
Yeah.
with my
Come on, right? That's right.
That's what
And
you
in
did back
Kingwood,
in the
the
day.
cluster was the Better Homes and Garden, Livable Forest, is that what it was? Anita Thomas then opened Remax and all that other stuff. It's a great story out there, but that's what people did. I mean, they had to knock on doors. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have pagers. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, Perry Mason had a cell phone, but I mean, that was, okay. All right. Ask the big questions now. Where do you want to go in life? Really, really important. And I would ask these questions daily. As a matter of fact, I do. What direction do you want to go? In other words, where are you today? If it was a perfect world, what would it look like tomorrow, and what direction would you be going? What's the farthest you can imagine going? How big are your dreams? Are you afraid to dream? I'm not. Dream big. I'm living a dream life in a lot of ways. I mean, honestly, I love my job. I love the people I interact with. I love the team I have there, and I love what I'm doing now because this is really fulfilling. And I'll get to a little statement that sums that up a little bit longer. And how long will it take? Put yourself on a timeline of some sort. And again, I'll tell you. Has anybody ever been to Fredericksburg?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been to Enchanted Rock?
Mm-hmm.
Have you climbed Enchanted Rock?
No, just
Okay,
look at
well,
it.
here's the deal. So, Angela, the beautiful green-eyed, raven-haired girl, and I went to Fredericksburg. We went to Enchanted Rock, and thinking, what's the big deal? It's 1,800 feet. How bad can it be? So, we get about halfway up and get the Jimmy legs and try and figure out how to get back down because we are worn out. We didn't have the right shoes. We didn't have any water. We were wearing jeans. I mean, we couldn't have done more things that were inappropriate to try and climb Enchanted Rock. And so, here's the moral of the story. Climbing Everest is not the most perilous trip. It's coming back down because you're exhausted. You have no air. You're sucking wind, and now you have to go down 29,000 feet. Man, that's where most people die, is coming back. It's hard. You're exhausted. So, anyway, the idea is do it. Go ahead, do it. But do it now. Face the fear factor. Most people are afraid of failing, but I would also venture to say that a lot of people are afraid of success. With success comes responsibility and expectations and new pressures. But don't be afraid of success. Success is measured in all kinds of ways. It's like wealth. Success is what you define success to be. And I would never presume to tell you what success is for you. But I'm real curious. I'd ask you what it is if you tell me. Fear of trading security for the unknown. Well, you know what that's all about. You're professional realtors. I was a real estate manager. I was a restaurant manager until 1990. And I'll tell you the story of what got me out of the management group. All right, so I'm working at TGF Fridays, and for some reason they like me to work the front of the house. I can't figure it out. I mean, why would anybody want that? So I'm out there pressing the flesh and kissing the babies and making sure everybody's happy. And there's two young ladies sitting at a two-top, and they're dressed to the nines. Their food's taking about 5 minutes longer than it should, so I go to the table and say, ladies, your food's going to be right out. It should just be, and you're dressed so nicely. I wonder if there's a time problem. Help me out. What are you doing? And we get the big tickets for the big event. One's in pink satin outfit. The other one's in this beautiful, beautiful outfit. And just about then, the waiter comes around the corner with a burger with a little ramekin of Bordelaise sauce on. If you don't know what Bordelaise sauce on, it's mud with a salty beef flavor. So he trips and falls, and on the pink satin outfit, we have the Bordelaise sauce. So we're screaming, crying, recriminations, and that's just the waiter. So, I mean, I finally calmed them down after about 15, 20 minutes. Ladies, I'm not sure that you have enough time to go home and change clothes to get to the big event, so I'm really, really sorry. We'll pay for the dry cleaning. If it doesn't work, we'll pay for the outfit. We'll pay for the tickets. We'll pay for everything. I'm really, really sorry. Is there anything else I can do for you? And she looked up and she said, yeah, you can get your tie out of my iced tea. And I was leaning over the table like this, talking to them this way. And my tie was about 2 inches deep in her iced tea. So, I went and wrote in the manager's log, you will not see me 6 months from now. And in April of 1990, I left the security of a salaried business with bonuses and took a 70% pay cut and went out on the street as a loan officer. And I found out how hard life really was because I didn't know how to ask for business. I thought you'd just be nice, because that's what I did, was open the restaurant, be nice, people come in, they love me. I'm chasing 350 quote sheets a day. I'm driving from Willowbrook to Atascocita to Kingwood to the Woodlands every day, And my boss finally traveled with me and said, hey, whoa, slow down a little bit. I think people would like you. You seem nice. They seem to like you. I don't think anybody knows who you are. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, let's stop somebody today. Let's talk to them. And I'll tell you what, at some point, and I don't care how scared you are, at some point you have to say, can I have a deal? I got 2 deals that day. I didn't know you had to ask. So then the world opened up for me after that. It was awesome. Anyway, there's a lot of fears out there, especially for real estate agents. Resources being overextended. So which emotion is stronger, the desire to change and grow, or the fears that you let kind of control your thoughts, disabling thoughts? Your brain's not really your friend until you teach it to be your friend. Because what will happen? Why can't I do this? Well, you're fat, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're lazy. So your brain, all the conditioning over the years has taught you that. So if you talk nice to yourself, don't forget. What do I always say, Louise? Don't forget how good you are. It's true. It's really true. So, okay. Let's go to the law of awareness. Any questions? Any comments? That'll be $2. Okay. The law of awareness. Who are you? Do you know your strengths? Can you tell me one of your strengths, Louise?
One of my strengths in real estate.
In anything.
I guess I'm personable.
I would say you're a devoted friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great strength for you. You make friends everywhere you go.
Sometimes.
What's a strength for you?
I think I'm competent. Been in business a long time. I
You're
do my
hyper
education.
competent, in case you're
I do
wondering.
all my education that I need to do. And
So people can
Really?
trust you.
I think so.
Yeah. No, so do I. You're right on track. Frank, what do you think?
About her?
No.
Please don't pick on me.
I care about people.
Yeah. That's obvious.
You do.
Mhm.
Sure.
I think I'm friendly and experienced.
Okay. Which one? Is a real strength to you?
Friendly.
Right. And you are.
Yeah.
How about you?
And
Ann.
positive. I just sort of believe in everything.
Right. I'm an eternal optimist too. I took the Harrison evaluation. The only really good score was I'm a blind optimist. And you know how Ziegler defines an optimist? Somebody goes looking for Moby Dick and brings the tartar sauce. That's kind of me. So I'm an optimist. That's what I do. I wake up in a new world every day. And, Mandisa tells me I'm an overcomer, and I believe her. I believe in people. So sometimes I get my feelings hurt, but here's the deal. I'm not going to stop believing in people. I love people. So that's a strength for me. You got to know yourself. The law of awareness is understanding what you will and won't do, and that's where a lot of people really fall short, especially in this business. There are some things that they won't do, but they won't admit it to themselves, and they keep saying, well, I should be. It's like me and liver. I won't eat liver. I won't. Nobody's ever fixed it in a way that I could get it down in any way, shape, or form. And of course, in my day, you ate what was in front of you at the table, right? Ziegler grew up in the Depression, but he always had plenty to eat. The reason he knew that is every time he asked for seconds, his mother said, no, you've had plenty. And, but I mean, we ate what was in front of us in those days, or we didn't get dessert and we didn't go to bed, right? So I slept at the kitchen table more than one occasion because I wouldn't eat the liver, and they finally realized, don't try and feed him the liver, I know what I will do, I know what I won't do. And those are the two most important things that can help you achieve great success in your life. If you know you won't ever knock on doors, then don't put it on your to-do list. It's just a source of frustration and unhappiness every time you look at it. There are other ways to contact people, aren't there? Right. So pick one of those that you're willing to do. And what's the biggest fear in sales or real estate sales?
Cold
People won't call. They won't make that phone call. Man, that's it's in the storefront. When was the last time you had a walk-in, Frank?
To this office?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't even know. I don't take walk-ins.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen here. It doesn't happen anywhere else either. You remember the old rolling desk with the property, the huge book?
Remember that?
The 80-pound book of page after page that had to be updated every day. Oh, goodness gracious. Think of where you've come and where you've been. 3 kinds of people Finding direction. People who don't know what they would like to do, they're confused. People who know what they want but don't do it, they're frustrated. And the people who know what they want and do it, they're fulfilled. You know, whatever success means to you, that's success. Doesn't, you know, I might have a different version of it, you know. I make it look easy, but believe me, being me is a full-time job. You know, and my wife, believe me, she needs to be up for sainthood, I think. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do today? If you knew that failure wasn't on the table for this one item, is it a phone call? Is it a letter? Is it reaching out? Is it reaching in? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Write that down. Understand what that would be and work toward doing that. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, eventually you'll break through that fear because you're thinking on it, it's focused, and what happens? What we think about becomes what we do, doesn't it? So if you'll focus on that fear, or whatever it is you would do without fear of failure, try it. It's sort of like that bully. If you pop him in the nose, he'll back off. Won't he, Lee? Yeah. All right, so finding your passion or your purpose. Do you like what you're doing? Do you like the real estate business?
Yes.
Do you? How long?
Off and on for 23 years.
Awesome. That's cool. I know you do. I know Sandra does. I know Frank does. And you love what you do. It's obvious. Isn't it fun?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it fun to like the people you work with? You know, we're at this stage in our career where we can actually work with people we like. We have more discretion, or I should say at this level of real estate, in the RE/MAX realm, all of those choices have been made for you, that you've made yourself, because you want to work with certain people at a certain level with a certain caliber, and this is where you find that in one place. Isn't that fun? Mm-hmm. So the saying is, in our 20s, we're really worried about what people think and say about us. In our 40s, we're less concerned. We don't really care what people think and say about us. And in our 60s, we realize they're not talking about us at all. We mean nothing to them. You know what I mean? Holy mackerel. Finding your passion and purpose. Check your heart. Burnout is not doing too much of something. Burnout is doing any amount of the wrong thing. The restaurant business wasn't for me. I could do it. I really could, and I was good at it, and I understand numbers, and I understand service, and I can cook, I can do all kinds of things, but I was never going to be happy in that environment. And I've done a lot of different things, and you've seen me in and out of the lending business. I sold new homes for 3 years. I've been in the title business, and then in 2007, when the bottom dropped out, they eliminated my position as an executive at a title company, and nobody would hire me. I had too much experience. I'd never stay. I made too much money. All these, I couldn't get a job. So I spent 3 languishing years in the commercial landscape business, driving 3,000 miles a month for 1/3 the amount of money I was used to making.
Wow.
But I needed to do it. I mean, you got to work, right? I've never been out of work. I've been working for 45 years, but that year I was out of work in 2008 for 7 months. And that was rough. I'd never been out of work. So please feel sorry for me because I have a horrible life. And after that, I went to Lexus because I needed to make more money. And I bought 5 cars. I knew Mark Keogh. He hired me right away. I doubled my money and just waited for an opportunity. And a year and a half ago, Capital Title gave me an opportunity, and then Alamo Title came looking for me again about 6 months ago. And it's been the best move I've ever made. I really love the people at the company, and most of them are still there. It's been a good move. The team I have is world class, second to none. You know, everybody says they're better. I think we are better. It's my job to say that, but we really are. So you've got to give us a try. Anyway, that's the last commercial we get from me today.
Dave,
Yes.
would you define burnout again?
Burnout is, I will.
You said it great.
Burnout is not doing too much of something. Burnout is doing any amount of the wrong thing. If you don't really love it, if you don't really like that person in your life, that's the hardest thing, is to push them out of your life, because sometimes it's a long-lasting relationship, but you know that it doesn't work for you. They're a hindrance to whatever plans you have. You're trying to grow, you're trying to move, and they're trying to live where they've always wanted to live, which is this little cubby that they've worked themselves into. sometimes we have to say goodbye. You know, finding your passion and purpose. Can you do what you want to do? Got to have a dream. Do you have unique talents and gifts? I'm full of it. That's my unique talent. I can talk all day, every day about anything you want to talk about. I'm happy to do it because I love life. I really do. So whatever your unique talents and gifts are, man, you know, the people always say you need to be working on your weaknesses. That's true, but for me, I really focus on my strengths. I mean, that's where you thrive. That's the arena that you feel most confident and comfortable in. I believe we should be living in our strengths while we have a little ratchet on our weaknesses on the back end. If your focus is on your weakness, that's a negative, disabling thought, I think. You're always focused on what you don't do well. It's hard to convince yourself how great you are when you're doing things that you don't do well all the time. So I would encourage you to really live in your strengths, and those weaknesses will kind of dissipate. Eventually they'll go away. Awareness, action, accountability, and attraction. Does everybody know what the law of attraction is? We attract people that are like-minded to us. You know, you've had an instant connection with people, I'm sure, and then there have been times where it just didn't quite work out for whatever reason, or you just didn't like them, or they didn't like you, or whatever it is. My recommendation is that life is too short to spend an inordinate amount of time trying to sway them over to your life. You know, not that you can't work with people that are difficult or that you may not have a personal relationship with after the transaction. I mean, we never have difficult people in this business, right? Everybody's happy all the time. We're all singing around the campfire. Nothing ever goes wrong. I mean, holy mackerel. Well, so I'm talking to the wrong people about that. Does everybody here have a friend, a mentor, a coach, or somebody they can go to when they need their sales filled?
Frank.
Yeah, he's a great one. He's one of my mentors, I'm happy to say. Yeah, Louise, you're a mentor for me.
Mentor for you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You are.
I thought it was vice versa.
Well, I really enjoy spending time with you because you share a lot of experiences, and you give me a different perspective on what I do and why I like it. Sandra, I mean, holy mackerel, you're just an awesome person.
I'm one of the few people that likes property time.
Yeah. Isn't that great, though? I mean...
No, it's the other calls you get,
Right.
that you can help people, you know. Somebody's getting a divorce, they might have questions about property, or they...
Man, you just hit it right on the head. So what was that word you just used? In all the years I've been in real estate, or an affiliate, these are the most successful people. This is the number one word in their vocabulary. I'm in this business to help people, because what did Zig Ziglar say? If you can help enough people get what they want, you'll always have more than you want. And that's the absolute truth. That's what I'm trying to do here today. I'm trying to add value to your lives. Whatever that means for you, however we define that relationship and however it grows or gets massaged or we work through with this or that or the other. I'm only here as a resource. What I know, where I've been, is unimportant unless it's important to you. I'm not counting myself as an unimportant person. Believe me, that's not the way I think of myself. But in terms of getting to know you, getting to do business with you, things like that, the most important thing in our relationship from my standpoint is what's important to you. And if you didn't feel that way, you wouldn't go through the pain of 23 and 30 some odd years and 30 some odd years and all these years in real estate that we've gone through. Because the ultimate goal is that, you know, for all the difficult transactions where people just can't be saved, they can't be served, they can't be saved, they can't be helped, they're just disagreeable, and we caught them at a point in their life where they're at a real low axis. There's the ones that they can't wait to hear from you. Every time you call them, they hug you at the closing table. They take you out to dinner. Frank was just sharing an incredible story about that. You know, that's what makes it worthwhile. I mean, the signing of the contract, the putting the sign in the yard, that's about this much of the transaction. The rest of it is getting to know them. How many people do you know, Louise, that have bought a third, fourth, or fifth house from you?
Thanks.
Yeah, Sandra.
We're on people's grandchildren now.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, my wife's in the mortgage business, and she and Alan Bailey they've done 5, 6, 7 loans for some people, and they're doing their cousins, they're doing their sons, they're doing their grandsons. Do you have people that have used you multiple times?
Well, I've moved too much.
Okay, gotcha.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Some of my best friends are my first clients. I'll say.
awesome. Yeah, my family moved a lot when I was a kid too. Fortunately, I found them every time. So if you're in a coaching and mentoring, there's some deeply important questions. If you need to change, what will it cost to change? What would you say? I'll give you a hint. It costs everything. If you're going to change, you got to give it all. You got to throw yourself into it. And if you're going to change in any way, you've got to throw yourself into it. And I've been playing golf for 46 years. I don't play very much anymore, but a good friend of mine, because my game had gotten south. I was using the bad equipment, this and that and the other. I had all kinds of excuses. I couldn't really hit the ball very well anymore. So the only lesson I ever took was from a good friend of mine. He said, you got to stand 4 inches closer to the golf ball. Now, anybody who plays golf realizes that 4 inches is like 10 miles to most people. So when I stood 4 inches closer to the golf ball, I shanked it for 6 months until I learned how to get the club in the groove that was 4 inches closer to the ball. And then I got my mojo back, and I was able to hit the shots where they needed to go. But the pain, we don't even like to say the word shank out loud if you're a golfer. That's like, dancing with the devil. You can't say the S word is what they call it on tour. But I'm telling you, the benefit was worth it. It's worth going through the pain. We hear a lot of real estate agents have issues with assistants or keeping assistants, things like that, and more times than not, I would venture to say it's because it's hard to train people. If you don't have an aptitude for it, if you don't have a skill set, or you don't have it organized with a list of things that you need them to do that you can be specific about and hold them accountable and get them to agree on, then it's really hard to train. Training is the hardest thing to do. I saw a guy named Rick Rivera a few years ago. Hi, come in.
Sorry, I'm confused. I apologize. I just
Don't
told
be
her I was
confused.
in the training room.
So Rick Rivera was working with a Fortune 50 company, getting them to understand why they were hemorrhaging money and where the problems were, this and that and the other. After 6 months of having his team inside of this building, he sits down with the CEO, and the CEO says, what's the first thing I need to do? So you got to spend $2,700 per employee to train them. I have 10,000 employees. What if I train these people and go away? It's your choice. What if you don't train them and they stay? I mean, what is it you really want? Do you want things to get better? You just told me that you just spent, I'll take my $10 million consulting fee and I'll go down to a company that will really want to change. I'm telling you what you need to do. If you decide not to spend the money, you get what you deserve. And it's really, so change is hard, but it never stops. Frank hasn't changed since I met him, and Sandra hasn't changed since I met her, but I can tell you I changed. Remember? In 1978, I had bushy brown hair and a beard. Now I got stuff growing out of my ears. I can't even identify what it is now. It's like we're all a house. So the roof leaks, the plumbing goes, the foundation is shot. What happens? So, summing up, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you understand why. That's what John Maxwell says, and I believe him. So the day we were born is obvious. The day I understand why is now, because this is what I do. So I'm hoping that you found some benefit in this class, and that you'll come again, and we'll be able to do this more. Because it's not a rah-rah. It's not a fake thing. I'm growing all the time. I'm really challenging myself, and I'm having a lot of fun. And I want to share it with some other people. Now I have a little. It's kind of a synopsis of the training, and I'd be happy to send it to you via email if you like, or make you a copy and bring it to you. It's just simple words. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. Everything you want to do, everything you want to feel, everything you want to change in your life will come from you. I mean, there are exterior people exerting pressure in different ways, that's for sure, but the ultimate decision ensues. It's yours. So when I wanted to change, my wife, I'm driving her crazy now because It's not that I didn't help around the house. I clean bathrooms, I do glassware, I dust, and I cook. But now I'm just like a whirling dervish. I'm doing laundry. I mean, who is this guy? But that's, you know, all of a sudden I feel like that. If that helps her, that's what I want to do. Because, man, I got to tell you, I picked a winner. She's amazing. Anybody who knows me knows how much I love my wife. So, and there's a good reason for that, because she's awesome. Anyway, thank you for coming today. I hope you enjoyed it. Can we do it again?
Awesome.
Yes,
Thanks.
Yeah.
thank you, Dad.